Right, so Shan, you first, lots of congressional subpoenas, some that have gone directly to, requesting the testimony, and then others that talk about documents. And when you have the Secretary of State thus far who has missed the deadline, which was yesterday, to supply material, how will any of these committees compel someone to comply?
They have a few choices. They could go the traditional route, which is to try to get them to comply through contempt and then seek a legal civil lawsuit basically to enforce that contempt. They could kind of go old school, enforce the contempt themselves, use their power, inherent power to do that. And also, given the direction that the White House seems to be going in with this let's stonewall everything, they could simply add that stonewalling effort to another article of impeachment. Let's remember that Article 3 of the Nixon articles was obstruction of Congress, and they could also do all three. So they do have a number of options available to them.
Because thus far there has been a lot of stonewalling, and if that option has not been taken, if no options from the committees are taken in terms of, contempt, forms of contempt, then they won't be able to get the material that they need, can they? Or are there other avenues to take?
If the White House doesn't produce them voluntarily, then they have to seek some form of compulsion. And ultimately, I think Trump has a slight misunderstanding of the Supreme Court, but he kind of gets the idea that he always wants to rely on them. And I think they're ultimately aiming for a fight over executive privilege and or their newly invented doctrine of immunity. And I think he's going to have a nasty surprise on that front, because there's a big difference when the Supreme Court considers things that are more policy-based versus something like this, which is much more traditional legal analysis about the power of the executive. So I think it's going to be headed there in some way or another.